This video is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay tuned to learn how you can enter the world of sports betting. A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We have made it to the second half of the 2021 regular season. With so many questions going into the season of how the NBA would handle player safety, we have only had one big massive outbreak within the league. That was earlier in the season, and let's hope it doesn't happen again, at least not to that grand scale. We have a lot of information to cover through the All-Star break, so if you love hearing the sound of my voice, this video is for you. Looking at the Eastern Conference playoff picture going into the All-Star break, the 76ers, Brooklyn Nets, and Milwaukee Bucks are all quality teams. Only 2 games separate one another. Bulls is coming for that top spot, and it's time for the 76ers to show their dominance within the conference. Can they keep it up? We shall see. Milwaukee has gotten their act together, and Brooklyn has stockpiled weapons of mass destruction that the whole league is not looking forward to. I'm ready to see these in-season playoff intensity type games, y'all. These are the best type of NBA games, hands down. Looking at the rest of the playoff picture going into the All-Star break, the Boston Celtics were in 4th at 19 and 17. And honestly, I mean, they kind of are a little bit disappointing. I find it interesting how the media hasn't created a narrative yet of splitting Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, as well as firing Brad Stevens like they did with the Sixers. But we already know why, because Sixers slander sells. The Raptors are looking good after their slow start. They are still below 500 at 17 and 19, but they are in the playoff picture, so that is, better than where they were. I'm not sure if they are going to be willing to trade Kyle Lowry at this point, especially fighting for those, playoff seeds, but we shall see. I wouldn't get my hopes up unless, the Sixers trade hella assets, which I wouldn't want. The Knicks are playing good ball, at least compared to recent seasons. I don't know if they will keep it up, but it is good to see New York basketball doing its thing. But with that being said, I must admit, the media is really hating on them so much for a team who really isn't even that good in the grand scheme of things. But I digress. The Miami Heat are balling too. That boy Jimmy has come back with a vengeance. So that 7th and 8th seed race is going to be crazy at the end of the year. Right now, I'm gonna say that the Pacers and the Hornets are probably gonna take those 2 spots. But I mean, look, don't be surprised if Washington, slides up too, because they're, not far off. But back to our favorite team. Looking at statistics, the 76ers rank top 10 in the league in points, field goal percentage, defensive rebounding, total rebounding, plus or minus, pace, true shooting percentage, and second chance points. They rank top 5 in free throws made at first place, free throws attempted at first place, 4th in steals. They lead the league in blocks and are 2nd in the league in personal fouls drawn. Even if you don't even know what none of those stats mean or have any inkling of what that is, the fact that the Sixers lead the league in so many categories or are in the top 10 just shows how deep and talented this team is. Shout out to the coaching staff for putting this team in shape. So let's take a look at the Sixers' last 6 games going into the All-Star break, shall we? So the first game was against the Chicago Bulls on February the 19th, and we won that game 112-105. If you remember correctly, this is Joel's career high 50-point game, and he essentially carried the Sixers. We weren't going to win if he didn't put up those numbers, and that just shows the MVP stature that he has. If I remember correctly, Ben wasn't playing, so we didn't even have a offensive facilitator, and Zach LaVine on the opposite end was giving buckets. Next game was against the Raptors. We actually had a 2-game series with the Raptors on the 21st and 23rd of March. During the first game, we lost 110-103. This is what I would eventually call the Bobby Boucher, or never, his name isn't Bobby, but the Boucher game. That man was hitting threes like it was nothing with an unorthodox release shot. I don't know, dog. Quick guards always kill us, so I wasn't really surprised at this. This was the game where Joel Embiid started cooling down. The Raptors and Nick Nurse always know how to guard him, and when Ben came back, he dropped 28. The second game against the Raptors, we won 109-102, and it was the same type of fast-paced game as the first, but this time the Sixers just shot the ball better. If you want an actual comparison, during the first game, we shot 29.2% from the 3 compared to 44.7% during this game, and that is a major difference. When the Sixers are hitting their shots, they are hard to beat because you already know they got the whole clamps. The next game was against the Dallas Mavericks on the 25th of February, where we won 111-97, and this was a blowout win that I've been asking for. The Sixers need to blow out teams so they can get confidence going into the regular season, and not only just that, but just so the starters can rest, just like during the 2017-18 season when Joel and Ben always got to rest during the fourth quarter. This was the game that ignited our bench. The bench played really, really well. Shout out to the boy Dwight Howard, who went back in the time machine about 10 years and played like Superman. Him and Shake was, balling with their little two-man game. You truly love Dwight bringing the amount of energy that he brings. The whole last point that I wanted to say, you already know Ben had the clamps on Luka. I really think Ben is like his defensive play style perfectly suits locking Luka up, just because, and look, I ain't calling Luka trash because he's not. I had him as the best player coming out of his draft class, but the way that he plays on the perimeter, dribbling out a breakdown slow game with Ben's height and length, he can lock up that slow play very easily. So I'ma love seeing, Ben and Luka duke it out for the next, 10 plus years. The next game was against the Cleveland Cavaliers, where we lost 112-109. Ben and Joel dropped 42 and 24 pieces. Afterwards, Doc said that the team didn't play with enough energy. The reason we lost was because Seth shot us out of the game. If I remember correctly, he shot 1 of 10. If that ball hits 2 threes, we win this game. But this was a overtime loss. This loss got Sixers social media so mad. I seen so many boys talking about, the Sixers can't do nothing. We're trash. We need to trade half of our roster. No, I agree. It was a very bad loss. I'm not going to blame it specifically on Tobias being out because we only lost by 3 points. And when you play a team like the Cavs, even though they are a guard-heavy team, it is no excuse to lose to them when you have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons starting the game. Fans just be overreacting, bro. If y'all remember, the Cavs beat the Nets in overtime. The Cavs team is pretty nice, and even if they aren't, they are a NBA quality team. That just got me annoyed. Sixer fans are we overreact to some of the smaller stuff. It's cool. We lost. You cannot win all 82. We would then play the Indiana Pacers, where we won 130-114, and this was a shellacking, probably because Doc called folks out last game against the Cavs. And once again, the bench played well. Shake dropped 26, Furkan dropped 19, Mike Scott dropped 11 points, 4 from 4 from the 3. Shout out to Mike Scott. I've been talking a lot of smack about him, saying he's washed, he's done, and the last few games he has been putting in work. So I have no problem apologizing when I am wrong. I'm giving the man his due. The things that I saw about this game was the Pacers kept on having small runs, but the Sixers kept on attacking them back, and we got the W. Another blowout. Let's go. Final game was against the Utah Jazz on the 3rd of March, where we won in overtime. And this was a playoff atmosphere type joint. I was in Colorado during this time, and I couldn't watch it on the TV, but best believe I had it on my phone walking through the Rocky Mountains. The Sixers fought the entire game. We weren't up until about the end. And this joint, the bench carried. Once again, we have 3 straight games where the bench carried. We have to understand that the Sixers, while they are not perfect, when everyone is firing on all cylinders, we are virtually very hard to beat. Embiid, you already know, the boy freaking dropped a 3-pointer, essentially off balance, out of position as time was expiring, being guarded the best way possible, and still hit nothing but net. 7-footers should not be doing that. Embiid is ball, hands down. We have to start giving respect to Tobias because he's the one who carried us in overtime. He wasn't looking too good, coming off of his injury during the game, but when it counted, Tobias put in work and got us the W. So shout out to Toby. You can really tell Ben is taking his defensive assignment seriously. He had D-Mitch stifled during the overtime, so much so that D-Mitch got 2 technicals, eventually getting thrown out of the game. We can argue if it was valid or not, but we should know that in certain situations, when you are the leader of your team, you cannot get yourself taken out of the game. Ben got the clamps on everyone this season, and all I can say is, I told you so. DraftKings has brought their expertise to legal sports betting. It's a legitimate sports book based right here in the US, so you can rest assured that your funds are totally secure. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the app and sign up using promo code YING215 for more perks. DraftKings is offering all new users a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Yes, $1,000. You must make a deposit in order to be eligible to receive a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and check out all they have to offer, including player prop bets, live betting, futures betting, and so much more. And if by the off chance you do not have Sportsbook available in your state as of right now, don't fret, you can still download DraftKings Fantasy app, where they are offering millions of dollars in total prizes every single week. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. Thanks. So as I do have an Instagram page called The Ben and Joe Show, let's look at Ben and Joe real quick. We have the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year playing for our team right now. Do y'all understand how great, how fortuitous that is? Ben is 24 and Joel is 26. Both of them are playing in their 6th and 4th year in the league respectively. That does not happen in the league often. We have to be grateful, bro. Like people don't see this. Like, how can you sit there with a straight face and say that the process didn't work? Why would we split them up? So looking at their stats in February, since that is the 2nd month after the season started, you know, it may have taken time for certain players to ramp up for the season. And I think that month gives a better detail of like who these Bulls are. So looking at Ben, he averaged 21 points, 7.9 rebounds, 7.8 assists, and 1.3 steals during that month. A cool caveat is he shot 70.3% from the free throw line. And we all know Ben had his struggle, well, not his struggles, but one of his major deficiencies was from the free throw line. And he has gotten better, yo. Like, look, the Bull is 24 and he hasn't even reached his prime. We have to give him time. And he's showing that he is growing. Like, come on, y'all. He averaged a minus of positive 5.9, which shows that, you know, he is a impactful, efficient player. Looking at the big man, Joel, he averaged 32.3. Once again, a 7-foot center in today's game whose offensive bread and butter is shooting threes and dunks. Mid-range too, damn. I forgot all about that. Mid-range, shooting threes, mid-range, and dunks. The man has averaged 32.3 points in February, which is the most among active players. Joel Embiid is a beast, averaging 11.5 rebounds, about, my notes say 1.4 blocks, shooting 49.2% from the field, and 42.9% from three-point land. That is crazy, like straight up. And the Bull averages a plus or minus of 5.1. Once again, we need to be grateful that we have these two generational talents. I was told years ago that Kristaps Porzingis was a unicorn. Ben and Joe are the freaking real deal, straight up. So what are my observations for the team and where do we need to go from here? The Sixers need their big 2 and or 3, including Tobias, to play well going into the playoffs. The crazy thing is, even though we are still in first place, we still haven't actually, yes, I feel like we have gelled in the sense of our players know how to play with one another, just like, you know, in a game flow sense. But I feel as though we still haven't reached our apex of like understanding the offensive playbook, everything that goes into smooth playing basketball, and we are still in first place. So, you know, once again, this is a whole new system and it is working. So all signs would suggest that the team would get better with time. Spike Eskin, the Bull on the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, brought up a great point, saying that when the team allots a large amount of money to their stars, this would be Joel, Ben, and Tobias. Those people have to be the ones who are winning games and putting their all. Of course, we do want the bench to play well, but when it comes down to it, your stars have to be stars. So I'm not as upset with the bench. Clearly, they have kinks. But if you have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris with comparable pieces, you have to get it done. Role players will have off nights. We have to start understanding that. And I just take solace in knowing that the team is so talented that even with the bench playing inconsistently, we still hold the first record in the Eastern Conference after everybody told us that this season was going to be a mediocre one. The bench has it in them. We have seen many occasions of them putting up more points than the starters, carrying games. They just have to be consistent. That'll be the key going into the rest of the season, especially with Joel being hurt. Oh, God. I'm looking at you, Shake, Furkan, and to a lesser extent, Dwight. More so Furkan and like Shake. Those two got to step up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Other notes on the team. The trade deadline is coming up on the 25th, and the buyout market is about to open up. I would rather have a guard because they can create the offense themselves through scoring and passing, which is something we need, especially in the half court. And that's where most of our scoring droughts come from. Because when we can't score for a long time, and that can't happen, especially in the playoffs. Some other news: the Sixers dropped another trash design jersey this week. We have been taking L's in that department for the whole year. I don't like it. It looks like a knockoff Foreman Mills brand jersey joint. Whatever. That joint not flames. Like, no, it's not flames. The one big thing is I'm looking forward to the health going into the second half of the year, specifically after Joel comes back. If we can all stay healthy, we have a good chance to make it far. The second half schedule of the season is very daunting. I made a video about it last week, which you can check out, but it's time for this team to dominate. There is no more excuses. So I'm going to leave you with the 3-week schedule that the Sixers will be playing without their big man. How many games do you believe they can win? I'm telling you right now, it's going to be hard, but I have faith. Shout out to Sixer Spill for getting this information and asking it on his Instagram page. Go follow him. Follow me as well at the Ben and Joe Show. We are finally done. A mouthful. I was chatting the whole video, but if you know me, anyone who knows me, they know that I love to chat. So thank you everybody for pulling up and listening to a brother think. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with a Sixers fiend if you feel so inclined. As always, your boyfriend is mad because the process worked. My name is Kain, and I will see you next time. Peace.